What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be doing my first shotgun video. The gun we'll be going over is the BENELLI Supernova 12 gauge pump action shotgun. Now, I'm a huge fan of shotguns, especially pump shotguns, and I feel like they don't get quite as much attention and maybe respect from a lot of people as, like, you know, AR-15s and AKs and stuff like that do. And I think that shotguns might be my favorite home defense gun overall. Now, I also think that shotguns in general are good first guns for new shooters to get into. They're very easy to get familiar with. They're easy to learn how to use. Now, if someone's super recoil sensitive, then obviously I would probably pick maybe a smaller caliber or something else. The 12 gauge is just going to be the most universal and the most options for different ammunition types and stuff like that. So, in my opinion, it's hard to beat a good pump action shotgun for someone's first gun. Now, BENELLI is an Italian shotgun company. They're mostly known for their semi-autos. They have a ton of different semi-automatic shotguns, and they're widely considered by competition guys and hunters and stuff like that to be one of the top tier, higher end shotgun companies that there is. So they're not known for their pump guns. I believe that the Supernova and the Nova are the only two pump action shotguns that they offer. I could be wrong on that, but they offer a ton of different versions of both of them, and they're really good guns. I'm a big fan of the Supernova. There are some things I don't like about it, which I'll get into, but it is a really well built, really well made shotgun, and I'm a big fan of it. So let's get into it. So starting in the back, now this is going to be one of the differences from the Nova to the Supernova, is that you can see those little arrows going down the buttstock there. That is called the ComfortTech Recoil Reduction System. And BENELLI claims, I have my computer here, BENELLI claims that it provides 48% less recoil than other pump action shotguns. So I haven't shot the Nova. I've never seen one, so I don't know if there's a big difference in that, but that is one of the differences between the Supernova and the Nova, is going to be the ComfortTech Recoil Reduction System in the stock. Now, there's another really cool feature to this gun that's, as far as I know, is unique to this one, and that is in between the stock and the frame, there is a set of shims that come with the gun, and you can adjust your length of pull. You can also adjust the angle that the stock sits on the frame to be most comfortable for which way you shoot. So, like, for instance, I'm left-handed, so I put the left-handed shim on this, and now the stock is angled just slightly in to compensate a left-handed shooter. It also has an enlarged trigger guard for gloves and cold weather and stuff like that. And this trigger assembly is removable too. So whenever you take this shotgun down, one of the first things that you do is pop these pins out and pull the trigger assembly out so you can, clean it and get in there and stuff like that. Now, BENELLI claims that the frame on this gun is a steel skeletal framework overmolded with some kind of high-tech polymer to keep it weather resistant and, increase the longevity and the lifespan of this gun. A lot of the polymers that are used now, people have their opinions on it, but it's basically proven at this point that they do increase the life of the gun over like something like steel, which is going to be, impervious to weather conditions and stuff like that. So I like the polymer frame on this gun. Now, something to note though is that the barrel lockup is steel on steel. So whenever you take this barrel off, you can see down in there that the barrel locks into steel. So it's not going to be like steel on polymer lockup and run the risk of wearing out the internals or anything. It is steel on steel lockup, and you can actually see on the inside of the frame that there is steel running along the inside of this gun. Now, another feature of this gun that I'm a big fan of is the shell latch. So as you can see, it's got a really long kind of goldish colored shell latch, but whenever you go to insert shells, you can push that up and it locks in the up position. So you don't have to worry about, when you're loading shells, that door closing on your thumb and pinching your thumb like you do with like an 870 or something like that. Now, obviously over time, that's not gonna be an issue. People learn how to load shotguns without pinching their thumb, but to this day, every once in a while when I'm loading my 870, I still have it pinch my thumb. So it is nice to have that shell latch that'll just stick in the up position whenever you're loading shells, and then whenever you go to put a shell in the chamber, you can see it falls right back down into place and then covers up your magazine tube there. So that's pretty cool. Now the forend on this gun is unusually long. So most pump action shotguns, the forend is going to be probably a third of the length shorter than this one here is. As you can see, it pretty much goes from halfway down the barrel all the way back to the frame. Now that is a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's a good thing for if you're a smaller person and you want to hold the gun back here like this. You don't have to reach all the way out. However, you do run the risk of pinching your fingers in this little groove here. So if you go to rack the pump, your finger can get stuck in there and it could pinch you pretty bad. I've never had it personally happen to me, but I have seen videos where people complain about that and say that this needs to be higher or changed in some way because they pinch their fingers on it. So it's just a side note there. It is what it is. Now another thing that really attracted me to this shotgun is that little button that you see there on the forend. Now I believe that they call that the shell stop button, and what that does is, let's say you have 4 buckshot rounds in your magazine tube and you want to put a slug in the chamber. Now with a normal gun, you would basically either have to rack it and then put your slug in and shoot your buckshot or whatever first, and then load your slug in there, so you're kind of having to waste a shot before you get it in there. Or you would have to rack it halfway and try and dig it out some way and get that out of there, and then put your slug in that way. What this does is it cuts off the magazine tube from feeding around into the chamber. So the way that this shell stop works is you release the pump with that button there, and then as the pump slides back, you can get to a sweet spot there where you can hit that button, and that will depress the button in on the forend, and that will stop the magazine tube from releasing a round. So you can bring the pump all the way back like this and then put a slug directly in the chamber while still having a different type of ammunition in the magazine tube, or however you want to do it. And then when you slide it home, you got your slug or your buckshot or whatever you put directly in the chamber. So I think that's pretty cool. This is definitely the first gun I've ever seen that on, and I'm a big fan of it. I think it's pretty cool. All right, so going forward, this gun does have a 4-round magazine tube. This one came with a plug in it, so it would only hold about 2 rounds when I got it. But if you take that plug out, it is 4+1. So 5 shells of 12 gauge is definitely plenty for most home defense scenarios. However, I'll never say that it's enough for any home defense scenario, and I disagree with anyone who says that anything is enough for anyone, because they don't know what situation that people get put in, on a daily basis. So I'm definitely not saying that 4+1 of 12 gauge shotgun is all you need for home defense. It is a lot of firepower though coming out of a 12 gauge shotgun. So like I said, they do offer magazine extensions, and on the 28-inch version like this, I could get pretty far out there and probably add another 4 or 5 before I'm as long as the barrel. However, you just got to think that does add a ton of weight. Shotgun shells are heavy, and if you're going to be walking around with this thing out in the woods or whatever, it's going to be a pretty heavy gun if you have if you add too many more rounds into it. And hunting laws don't allow that in a lot of states. I think where I'm from, it's a 2-round magazine limit and a 1 in the chamber, so 3 total. That's why they give you the plugs. Now the sights on this gun are pretty standard for shotgun sights. I know a lot of shotguns just have a bead in the front. This has a bead about halfway down and then a red fiber optic on the end of the barrel there. So at least you have 2 points to line up with each other so that you're not just going off the one. But for the most part, it's the beads are just fine, but this does have a bead and then a red fiber optic in the front. Now this particular shotgun came with 3 different choke tubes. It came with improved cylinder, modified, and full. But I tend to just leave the cylinder choke in it, and it works just fine for me. Now if you'll notice on the end of the magazine tube, on that knob, there's a little dimple on the end of that. And what that's for is to remove your takedown pins in the frame here. So whenever you disassemble this gun, the first step is removing the knob on the end of the magazine tube, and then you can remove your takedown pins to disassemble the shotgun. Now, one of the Supernova's claims to fame is the fact that it takes 3.5-inch shells. So I'm not sure if the Nova takes 3.5s. I think it does. I think that they both do. And you know, that was something when I got it that I thought I would like more. However, anyone that shot 3.5s enough knows that it is, it's almost comical how hard it recoils. Now, people shoot them in goose hunting, and I think that's one of the main things they're used for, is hunting like big birds and, you know, maybe turkeys and stuff like that. But as far as the type of shooting that I do, and just, you know, going out and shooting and shooting targets and stuff like that, we always just shoot 3.5s to get a laugh, because it's almost funny how much they kick us back and kick us around. So now here I have a 3.5-inch Magnum shell, and you can see up next to a standard 2 3/4-inch shell, they're pretty giant. Now there's a couple reasons why I went with a pump action shotgun for my first shotgun. Number one is going to be the price. If you're not familiar with Benelli and the amount of money that they charge for a lot of their semi-autos, go ahead and go to their website and take a look at all their shotguns. They're usually in the $1,500 to $2,000 range, and they're probably worth it. Like I said, most competition guys and hunters are big fans of Benelli, and they're considered to be top of the line. So I'm not saying that the quality doesn't demand that price, but I am saying that for me and for most, you know, average people, it's kind of hard to justify spending two grand on a shotgun. So with pump action guns, you're going to get usually a much cheaper gun. Right now on Benelli's website, they have the MSRP on this listed at $549. So that's right around the same price as like the Mossbergs, the 500s and the 590s, and the Remington 870s. Maybe a little bit more than those, but you know, not much. And the name and the quality that goes into Benelli shotguns is, you know, is unparalleled in a lot of people's eyes. And for the price that you're going to spend on a Benelli, it's definitely one of the cheapest guns that they offer. Now, I believe the Nova is even 50 or maybe $100 less than the Supernova. So if you want to go even cheaper, you can always get the Nova. And again, all it doesn't have is, I think, the ComfortTech recoil system in the buttstock. So now another thing that people like about pump action shotguns is the reliability. So with modern technology and modern shotguns, there are a bunch of really reliable semi-automatic shotguns. The Benelli M4 is considered to be, you know, one of the best defense and combat semi-automatic shotguns in the world today. So it's not that the technology is not there or that the semi-autos are unreliable, but you are going to pay for it, and you still might get you know, hiccups here and there and malfunctions every once in a while with those. Whereas with a pump action shotgun, you're the one controlling the action and moving the bolt. I would not have a problem using Benelli or Beretta or, you know, anything like that as far as semi-automatic shotguns go. I would definitely trust, you know, certain companies' semi-autos, but with a pump action, you can spend a third of the money and know that if you do your part, it's going to go bang pretty much every time. So, but I think that's about it, guys. I really do like this gun. Like I said, I know I've said that quite a few times, but I'm a really big fan of this shotgun. You can tell that it's really high quality, and it will probably last longer than I will. So, once again, Benelli is, you know, definitely one of the premier shotgun brands available right now, and this is no exception to that. And I think for the price and for what you get when you buy one of these, it's kind of hard to beat. So that's about it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to post below in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up for me, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.